So you want to be a homesteader, but you don't have land. You don't have an acre. You don't have 5 acres. You don't have 10 acres. You don't have 100 acres. What are you going to do? This is Sandi, Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona, and I am a suburban homesteader in both Wyoming and Arizona. So I was in that same dilemma. I thought of myself as a homesteader. I had learned skills and taken classes, but I still didn't have acreage. So I decided what I was going to do is be a suburban homesteader. I was going to look at what I had, the size of property I had. In Wyoming, I have about 1/3 of an acre. Here in Arizona, much smaller, probably half of that. I probably have 1/16 of an acre. But what can you do to be a homesteader with not very much land? Learning skills is one of your best options. Walking around your property and saying, okay, what can I do? Let's take Wyoming, for example. We've lived there for 20 years now. And the first thing I did was, before we even had grass, there was an extension agent that said, start planting trees first. Get that feel in your yard before you plant anything else. Before you put your gardens in, your flower beds, the grass, plant some trees. Then imagine them 5 years, 10 years, 20 years in the future. What can you do around that? And so that's what I did. Put the trees in first. Then actually I added flower beds and gardens and raised beds and terraces before we actually really even had grass. We had tried to seed it a couple times, but the soil was very poor. But it's a matter of working, of seeing what you have. Now, depending on where you live, you may or may not be able to have chickens. But we could have rabbits, and that's what we had first. Then we had honeybees. Then eventually, our town allowed that we could have 5 hens. And so I was becoming much more self-sufficient. My berries were growing, my fruit trees, some of them were starting to produce, my gardens were flourishing. And then I could sit back and say, I am a homesteader, a suburban homesteader. So I don't want you to ever think that because you haven't bought an acreage yet, that you can't fulfill that dream. Because you can. In my Wyoming property of 1/3 of an acre, I have over 200 apple trees, peach trees, pear trees, all kinds of berries. I have other trees too. I have a small oak tree that eventually will be a very big oak tree. I have lindens, I have cottonwoods. And you might say, how in the world could I have so many things? As a suburban homesteader, you choose how big you let those trees be. Now my cottonwoods are big. They're probably now 60 feet tall. And that side of my property is so nice and cool. When people come in, because that's the side they come in to go into the backyard, people always gasp. Like, how can you have this on the Wyoming prairie? Because it is just a jungle full of beautiful plants of everything you can imagine. And so I just take them a tour around. So my dream of being a homesteader, a suburban homesteader, is very much fulfilled. So what can you do? You say to yourself, I want to be a homesteader, but I don't have any acreage. I want you to walk around your yard today. Take photos. Take photos several times during the day. Watch where the sun goes. And then watch where the sun goes different times during the year. Where it is right now in the fall is going to be a completely different thing when it becomes springtime and summer. You need to know those things. You can be a homesteader with no matter how much property you own. Have a great day.